You are not failing because of the economy. You are not failing because of your boss, your upbringing, or your lack of resources. The biggest thing holding you back is yourself. We naturally look outward when things go wrong. It is a highly effective way to protect our own egos. Blaming inflation, a toxic workplace, or bad luck feels safe because it places the fault entirely out of our hands. The trap is that actual self-sabotage rarely looks like destruction. It is practically invisible. It disguises itself as caution, as preparation, and is perfectly sound logic. Until you recognize these hidden internal behaviors, you will remain stuck in a permanent cycle of your own making. To break the loop, you have to understand exactly how it operates. Let's look at how a goal actually begins. You decide to launch a side hustle, angle for a major career pivot, or overhaul your fitness routine. The initial ambition is pure and highly motivated. But almost immediately, you fall into the first behavioral trap, procrastination disguised as planning. Instead of calling a client or writing code, you buy a massive whiteboard. You spend 3 weeks debating the font for a logo or building a color-coded spreadsheet for a business that hasn't made its first dollar. Your brain loves this phase. Checking boxes on a planning sheet delivers a dopamine spike. It mimics the sensation of being productive, but it carries zero risk of rejection or failure. This flowchart illustrates how your mind uses overthinking as a defense mechanism. You start with an idea, move into the research phase, overcomplicate the variables, and then immediately loop back to more research. The actual action phase sits entirely outside the cycle, untouched. Preparation is necessary, but a business plan never sold a product, and a workout schedule never burned a calorie. When your getting ready phase lasts long enough to replace the actual work, your own logic has become the mechanism of your failure. Eventually, the planning phase runs out of runway. You are forced to enter the execution phase, where the unglamorous, grueling daily work is actually required. This is where inconsistent effort takes over. You sprint hard on your new project for 4 days straight. Then you get tired. You tell yourself you earned a night off. Before you know it, a week has passed, filled with nothing but Netflix, takeout, and zero progress. This happens because of a comfort zone addiction. Human biology is shaped by millions of years of evolution to conserve energy and avoid discomfort. Your brain physically interprets deep, difficult work as a threat to your survival reserves. High performers do not possess a magical infinite reserve of motivation. They simply do not negotiate with their evolutionary biology. They rely on rigid, boring systems that force them to execute the work regardless of how they feel on a Tuesday morning. Relying on a burst of motivation to get your work done is a systemic method of self-sabotage. When the motivation inevitably drops, you stop moving. Let's assume you push through the slog. You secure your first client, or your boss hands you the reins on a major project. The moment that minor success becomes real, an unexpected internal panic sets in. We can map this psychological shift on this balancing scale. You start with a driving desire for success on one side, but as reality sets in, a new weight drops onto the board, the burden of responsibility. Suddenly, you face the weight of elevated expectations. You risk alienating comfortable peers. The sheer scale of that new responsibility pushes against your initial ambition, throwing your entire internal system out of balance. To protect your ego from this new pressure, your mind actively generates self-doubt. It manufactures internal narratives, convincing you that you are an imposter or that the market is too saturated to continue. This hesitation is fear disguised as wisdom, holding you in a place that feels safe but keeps you stuck. We have now reached the climax of the failed ambition. This is the point where the mounting internal friction completely outweighs whatever external motivation you started with. You hit a minor roadblock and you quit. But the human brain despises the concept of failure, so it rationalizes the retreat to protect your self-image. You rarely admit defeat out loud. Instead, you draft a mental PR statement. You tell your friends you are executing a strategic pivot. You claim the timing wasn't right or the numbers didn't make sense. You disguise the shame of failing as a calculated business move. The life cycle of a failed ambition ends with a quiet, justified retreat back into the comfort zone. Look back at your last few years. You have likely lived this exact chronological timeline, from the color-coded whiteboard to the quiet retreat, dozens of times. To break the pattern, you have to force an uncomfortable shift in your perspective. You must change your internal narrative from "something is stopping me" to "I am stopping myself." This is a heavy truth to accept, but it is the only one that gives you a lever to pull. If external factors are the problem, you are a helpless victim. But if you are the source of the friction, you are the only one who can fix it. The only way out is to develop a habit of unfiltered observation. You must learn to spot the unnecessary spreadsheets, the sudden urge to do more research, and the logical-sounding excuses, and interrupt those behaviors as they happen. Stop letting your invisible habits block your growth. Take control of your own friction. Like, subscribe, and comment below if you are finally ready to stop sabotaging yourself.